Hello, YouTube friends. It's me, Theosha Talks, and I think it's time for story time. Okay, how do I start this? There's a guy that's new into my life. My mom knows about him. Yeah. So anyway, let's get to the meat of it. So I've been following this guy on social media for quite some time, and the world caught on fire and shut down. You know, and since all of that has been happening, he and I have really developed into something more than what it was before. First it was just liking a comment here, possibly posting a request there, or, just very mild interaction on social media. I was more watching him. He is not watching me, but that is okay. It's just something that I'm doing right now. So, love me where I'm at. Yeah, so I was first introduced to him in 95. And, it was like I really didn't have a full appreciation for who he really was. And over the years, all I can say is I have become such a fan. He's uber famous. He does not know me at all. But I really do believe that one day I will actually meet him. And when I do, I'm going to try not to pass out. Who am I talking about, you may ask? My friends and family already know who I'm talking about. It is the one and only Amir Thompson, better known as Questlove. Y'all. I've been following him for a while, and mostly just on Instagram, and then kind of on Facebook. So, been following him, following the band The Roots, which he is the drummer for, in case you all don't know that much. Yeah, so, they put out their posts, I listen, whatever, and then, sometimes they have special events or something that he's inviting people to, but this was back when outside was open and we could go places and things of that nature. I remember when on Instagram he gave out a phone number for us to reach him, and I was like, Questlove out giving out his phone number? Okay, well, okay. Now, first of all, you had to kind of engage with him and just be like, hey, Questlove, I can't remember what the request actually was, but we had to say something like send him a text or something, and he would send you a text back letting you know that, certain events and things that were going on. And it was so cool, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got Questlove's phone number. Anyway, it's so silly. So the end of the year happens, January happens, and things are pretty slow. Not much is really going on. And then COVID happened and shut the world down. So as the world gets shut down, DJ Denise actually started doing these DJing sets where he was doing what he called club quarantine. And all these famous people were tuning into his sets, and he was just jamming. I'm looking all up and down my timelines, and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm dancing so hard, this is so amazing. So that was happening. And then one night, he was like, he's going to hand over the baton. What would you call it in DJ? I guess hand over the headphones. Hand over the turntables? The mixer? I don't know. Anyway, I don't own any DJing equipment, so let me stop. I do own headphones. I have some quality headphones, but that's about it. Anyway, he handed over, to Questlove and was like, hey, why don't you go ahead and do some things too, blah, 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 blah. And it was kind of like a little quick handoff. Now, on the one hand, I was like, okay, what is he doing? What's going on? And why not? Because I'm already following Questlove, so why don't I just go ahead and hear what it is that they're doing? So I started tuning in to Quest, and all I can say is that man gives me an education every single time that he is doing a live. There are things that I did not even think about, know about, had no clue about until I started watching him on a regular basis. He's doing these DJing sets where he plays different kinds of music. It may not be for everybody because, it's not necessarily a time for you to really just be dancing and jamming out to, because he does a lot of talking in the midst of it. But his talking is always informational. Is that a word? It's always informative. What is the word I'm trying to say? The man, he drops knowledge. Also, he has so much experience with so many different people. He's been in the biz, since the late 80s. I was first introduced to the Roost in 95, and so I'm not quite a beginning fan. Being that a lot of their music was not played mainstream, I didn't follow them as much because I was like in the digital divide, I guess you could say, because I didn't own any equipment to kind of like access the internet. I was one of the last people I know to get a smartphone. It's a whole thing. Y'all just love me where I am, okay? Anyway, all of that aside, I have access to everything, as you can see now. I have a YouTube channel, so there's something. But every single time that he gets on and does his sets, I'm just so, like, in tune, ready to take notes. One of the things that I absolutely, absolutely love about him. There was a time in my life where I would sit down and I would try to figure out who wrote what. Like, you hear a song, something popular, and you're like, wait a minute, where is that song from? That song would be really, really dope if they weren't messing it up with all their lyrics and the foolishness that's going on the song. So I was the kind of person that always wanted to know where the cover songs came from. Because people would cover music from, sample. They would sample music from other artists, and they would have it on their tracks. And I was like, where did the original come from? And some of the artists that were sampling some of it, like, I didn't like their actual work. I liked what I heard underneath it. And I just been on a quest, no pun intended, to find out what those songs were underneath. And it used to drive me crazy because it's like you don't know where to start. Now, mind you, a lot of this is happening before Google was really readily available. So you couldn't just put in random things and being like, what's the sample on blah blah song? And, you know, you pop up with, oh, that song sampled these 3 albums from these artists. It wasn't that easy. And so I've always been intrigued by that. He gives us a class every single time where he's playing like songs that I've never heard before, and then it comes upon the sample part, and you're like, wait a minute, I do know this, but only that small little part. And then you're finding out the artist and like when it came out, and, you know, maybe a fun tidbit about the artist, or, you know, he would say that he interviewed them or he met them, or this was something that they told him in an interview. And some of that tea, y'all, is piping hot. Piping hot. So one day I was watching. I usually don't respond on his lives based on the fact that when I watch it on YouTube, it always says that it's on slow mode. So like you can type something in and then it may not get into the feed right away. And then by the time it gets into the feed, anyone you are trying to interact with, either the other people who are listening and watching, or the person who's doing the live, it's irrelevant at that point. So he's playing these drum samples, and I was just, for giggles, let me go ahead right here and type something in. So I typed it in right quick, right? And then I walked away from the computer. Here's the part that's really crazy. The audio and the video were not matched up. They were like off. They weren't synced.
And still that's rather slow, because really it was like, that's right, Theo Shit Talk says this sounds like the Powerpuff Girl themes.
What? 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 Did you just mention my name, sir? Sir. Amir Thompson. Sir. I was so geeked, I didn't even really hear what he said. And then I went back in after his live was over and went back and watched it. I have not been able to find it again. So I think that it might be one of the copies that got taken down, unfortunately. Like, they came down on him so hard. Like, he played a Roost set, a band that he's a founding member of. So every single thing that he was talking about in that show, he had a part of. Like, that's his stuff. That's his music. And they took that down. So it's been nuts, y'all. But that's the thing that bothers me, is like, hey guys, this is what's keeping us, you know, motivated, excited about life, giving us something to look forward to. Not only that, he's also, you know, raising money for students who were displaced, like when the schools and everything shut down, because he was saying that, you know, a lot of students who don't have access to food, that's where they were getting their meals, is during school time. And now that school is closed, they don't have that. So he was asking for donations for that. Then he was, or he is currently still, trying to get people registered to vote. so that in November, you know, everybody who wants to have a voice has the opportunity. That it won't be because, you know, they weren't having people sign up to be registered to vote. And yeah, so he's very like active in that way. Just does a lot. I don't know when he sleeps. If I could just be perfectly honest with you guys, he did like a Food Network special just recently. They're still doing their Questlove Supremes, which is a podcast that he has. There's just so many things. I love his stories. I really like the fact that he is seems to be very personable. You can tell that he's introverted, but when he's doing what he loves and talking about what he loves, he becomes like very animated and ready to just tackle on anything. And I could be wrong about all of this. Who knows? Because I don't know him personally. But yeah, yeah. I think I've talked enough. Questlove, if you ever see this, if you ever see this, you know, shout out your girl, say hi, you know, whatever. Maybe we'll meet on the street somewhere. Who knows? I've always wanted to, you know, like be close to a band. I keep telling people I want a house band. That has been something I've wanted all my life. I also said that I wanted a top 40 hit. I guess I need to write a doggone song and see if he can produce a top 40 hit with me. Because, like, I don't really have any musical talent. I used to play the clarinet in 5th grade. I can't really read music. I can hold a couple of notes, though. So, you know, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll put pen to paper and see if I can come up with something. And then, you know, maybe. So, let this YouTube video show for the future that I, Theosha Talks, is telling everyone in the world, okay, maybe not everyone in the world because everyone doesn't have access, and not a whole lot of people know who I am. But I just want to say that let it be known that I said this ahead of time so that if it does come to fruition and I have a top 40 hit with Questlove, we can always refer back to this video and talk about some things. No apologies for anything. Just, yeah. Anyway, I really do hope that you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will have more videos for you soon. I promise. Because I've been working on a lot of different things. Alright? Okay. Talk to you guys later. Bye!